Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Ingerman and welcome to the Shaman's Cave.
And I'm Renee Baribeau, and we are both excited to be here with you today. And we have a very important topic today. We are going to talk about, oh no, I totally lost it. It was so important that it slipped my mind. No, I remember. The other day in the Shaman's Cave, which we hope you all belong to, and we hope that you all click like on this video and that you all are subscribed. Yes, you're going to hear this from us week after week. But somebody wrote on the Shaman's Cave this whole post about the guru, and then they asked, "Well, what do you think?" And the first thing that I said was, "I think that the guru is dead." And sure enough, that always starts a roar. But Sandra picked up on it, and thought it'd be a great topic for today's call.
Yeah, I was actually going to say something on the post, but I decided not. I said this post is going to go places that I just don't want to engage in. I didn't read any the comments except for yours, so I don't know where it actually ended up going. But it's I've never been a guru person, and I got into spiritual work in the 70s before I got into shamanism. So I read books of gurus. I was into Maharishi. I was into, oh my God, I was into all these gurus. I can't even remember the names. One of them, I was in New York and we had to take 4 trains, but nobody told us the address of where we were going. And if you made it to this guru's place, you could be accepted into his Guru Maharaji, the 13-year-old guru. You would be accepted into his family, but you had to be able to figure out the directions, which was crazy. So I got introduced to spiritual work. Basically because of how much I read by different gurus. But for me, the person I am, who I came into this world as, is a person who doesn't want to be told what to do, doesn't want a guru in my life, and loves the principle of direct revelation.
Mm. Me too. And like you, I've been to, many different gurus. In fact, one of my first shamanic teachers that still have a lot of respect for to this day, started with a Swami. And when I was in Colorado, she said, the Swami is going to be here. And Renee, you really need to go because he can heal your heartbreak.
Mm.
And trust me, I was suffering. And so, I went that weekend, and sure enough, 2 years later, I looked at the fact that my heartbreak had healed. And so I believe that there are people who, like Sandra and I, who've really done, some people come in a little bit, they didn't have to do quite as much work as I had to do to get clear, but they come in really clear. And so they can transmit that energy.
Mm.
And if you want to call that a guru, then I guess we get to sit on those thrones ourselves. But I think that whole energy of going to somebody else for that divine intervention has run its course.
Hmm. Yeah, there was a great story, a really old story. We're going back, oh, probably 30 years or longer. There was a really famous guru in LA, and I don't remember what his name was. He had this gigantic center. He had thousands and thousands of devotees. And one day he shows up at the door of his ashram, and he's wearing jeans and a blue work shirt and sneakers. And he said, "The guru is dead. Everybody go out and live their life." And he walked down the stairs and then walked away. And I thought, my God, what an amazing story. But, on the other side of that, people who do I have so many students and so many friends who really get so much out of going to ashrams and listening to people who came in with awakened minds, and they get a tremendous amount of healing, a tremendous amount of inspiration, a tremendous amount of hope. It really just depends on your personality, and I think that's the trick in spiritual practice is not what you should be doing spiritually, but what feeds you personally, what feeds your heart personally, where you're not sitting there going, should I be sitting here? I'm not sure I should be doing this. I don't know if I agree with this. But for my friends and my students and my community who get so much out of it, I get so excited to listen to them. But it's not something I've ever felt called to, because for me, when I discovered direct revelation, it was like everything in my life. I got my own guru. I got my own personal guru.
I also think it's helpful to look to see when we got separated from nature. And one of the stories that I always talk about in the wind work is that when we stopped becoming, when we stopped as a the masses stopped hunting and gathering, and then they started to settle into agricultural communities, what happened was we moved from the outside to the inside. And so then we built these wind eyes. That's what they were originally called, eyes to the wind, where all of a sudden we had a look at nature through the glass. And then take it a step further, not only did we separate ourselves from nature through these wind eyes, then all of a sudden, we were kind of told that we could get this information now that we were inside better by sitting in a church or a temple or a synagogue. And then all of a sudden, there was somebody who was going between you and the wind, and they started to interpret the messages for you. So this is why the wind walk, about going out in nature and actually starting to have that direct connection with the wind, or, if you want the trees or the dirt, or, however that works for you, is to start to listen to that. Even as I'm talking about it, I'm seeing the wind jumping up in joy out in the tree out in front of me, because the thing is that once you start to go direct, newspapers become moot. Right. All of the hubbub and all of the discrepancies on Facebook, which we're going to talk about in our next Shaman's Cave, become moot, because you get the answers that you need to live your life in a balanced and harmonious way.
Yeah, because if you think back to shamanic cultures, and we talk about this a lot, the shaman had to be able to divine food sources, and the shaman had to be able to heal the people, or the people died. But the shaman didn't have the whole responsibility around that. The people of the tribe also had to learn to talk to the plants, and the plants talk back to them, and learn each other's language, so that the plants could say, this is what I can cure, and this is how to cut me up, or what parts of me that you want to use for this particular illness. So everybody in the community was trained, because how else was everybody going to survive? Mm-hmm. If everybody wasn't connected to nature, and if everybody wasn't getting omens and sharing their dreams and learning from the plants and the animals, how were people supposed to survive? There were no stores. There was nothing to help people. That's all they had, was dropping into full connection with nature.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that informs you then, what are your preferred daily activities? If you drop in and you don't like to cook, then most likely you're going to be the one who's out hunting and gathering the herbs for somebody else to do that, instead of this prescribed notion of this is what you should be doing, or this is how this should be looking. And so the that doesn't take away from having a good teacher in your life by saying that the guru's dead, because one of the things that I've learned over time is that we can only hear the voice of the spirit either directly through the wind or through the actions of somebody else. So during COVID, there was somebody suggested that I do this breathing meditation, which is also being brought forth by a different Swami. I seem to keep getting back to these Swamis. I don't know why. And so every single day she'd say, now imagine yourself, your childlike self. And every time she'd say it, I'd get so pissed off. I'm there like, you know nothing about my childhood and how hard it was. And, you know, jumping, swinging, and dancing probably wasn't part of my routine, although it was, you know, and so, but that taught me where I needed to look next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It didn't give me a bigger, broader connection to the Swami. It taught me what deeper scrubbing does Renee have to do in order to be more present to that joy in her life.
Yeah, and you know, that's where we are right now on the planet, is not so much what is everybody else doing, but what do I need to be doing? And so I'm actually seeing, on a very positive level, some of the deepest personal work I've ever seen going on in shamanism. We have both sides. We have, you know, people who don't know what they're doing and don't know what they're saying, but you know, we know how that goes with the public. But I'm just so impressed by how deep people are going, and they're doing it on their own. They're being their own guru, and they're coming out healed from all kinds of mysterious illnesses that are going on now, coming out feeling free from their contracts with their ancestors, their abuse from their family. They're really starting to let all of that go and sink into the earth to be composted.
That's awesome. I just got back from a family wedding, and I was writing this week because I'm working on my new book about that. My regret was that they were big teachers for me. But my regret was that it took me so long to appreciate who they were as teachers for me. And that, you know, it took me until my nephew and niece were off to college before I was healed enough to be part of the family system. And, you know, I judged them. They were having a really nice family, you know, family foursome, and they went everywhere together. They're still friends together. And here I'm thinking I'm having a spiritual experience over here, and they're from Mars when they're having a family experience. Now, isn't that the ideal of what we strive to have as in a shamanic community? Is their community was solid.
Right. Right. And we've actually talked about that is happening right now, of more families are actually moving in together because of financial needs, and grandparents can take care of kids, their grandkids, and grandparents who need help can get some extra help. So there's a whole change happening right now in at least in the US. I've been reading articles on this, and it's a really positive change, because I think when we all split off, you know, I left Brooklyn when I was 18, and people say you left as soon as, you know, you could legally leave, and what that did is it disconnected me completely from my family. And that was just a loss, you know, that was just a loss that happened. But you do see families coming back together. Right.
Isn't that the ultimate guru? When you find your God and you find your center within that community. It was really when I got there and I was aware of the God that was in that room. You know, the preacher up there who was a non-denominational, who was talking about how love expands.
Mm,
Wasn't that what we were always seeking from the guru to begin with, was that expanded love experience?
right.
And so to see it happening in a mundane, not that a ceremony of a wedding is a mundane daily experience, but to see it happening at all levels of society, you can start to look for that piece that's the guru in everything.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I like that.
I like that too. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I have much more to say on that subject, but I'd love to hear what you think about whether or not, I have this teacher and she's always there like, they always put it in Indian terms, Renee. Maybe people don't understand it, but it's just energy. And I'm there like, if you can get out of the way of what the language is around it and just feel the love of it, that is really what we're really seeking, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think personally, the last thing I want to say about this is I feel that our only destiny on this planet is to learn how to love and be loved in an unconditional, non judgmental way.
Hmm.
I really do. I do believe that we came here to learn about love, because spirits, spirits, they don't have senses. They have a whole different world that they live in. We're earth beings, and we came here to learn how to not just love each other, but love the earth, the moon, the stars, the wind, the sun, the waters, everything in nature. And when we can stand up and do that as a community, imagine the positive changes that would happen in our lives and on the planet. And people are working towards that. And I feel hopeful. And I'll
Hmm.
stop there.
Well, we'll end on your hope and invite you to share your experiences of hope with us in either on the Shaman's Cave group or on our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like, share this. And if you like what we're doing, send us $5 or $10. We do this out of the goodness of our heart, and we always love to be supported by the community back. It shows us that you're listening and that you care. And we will see you with our next show, which is going to be a really hot topic. So stay tuned.
Bye, everyone.